This is the Brad Davis radio program, AM 1360, 610, 1240, and 1470. The Talk of Connecticut.
I'm waiting for a very, very special guest, Dr. John Duncan. I've been talking about him, CEO of ViaScan, a company that specializes in the early detection of heart disease, lung cancer, and other life-threatening diseases, and an expert on heart health. Pessimism, he says, can go straight to your heart. And as soon as we get him on the line, I will chat with him about this. I was reading about it, and this is the reason that I wanted him on the radio, and he said that he would be with us, so we'll see. Researchers, by the way, in Finland discovered that a pessimistic attitude increases the risk for death. And we've got Dr. John Duncan on the line right now. Doctor, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Brad. How are you?
I am fine. We're on our Toys for Tots campaign at one of the big restaurants here in Connecticut, a place called Mitchell's Coffee House. But, you know, I was reading about this story, and what fascinated me was that pessimism can go straight to your heart. Can you explain that to my radio audience?
Yes, I'll try to do that. This study, Brad, that was published took people that had varying degrees of pessimism, ranging from mild pessimism to the most pessimistic, and they followed them for 11 years, and at the end of 11 years, they reported that those that were in the most pessimistic group compared to the least pessimistic group had almost twice the rate of death due to heart disease. So this is an observational study, Brad, so you can't show cause and effect because it was just observing characteristics. It would be similar to, say, if all billionaires had green eyes, to then make the conclusion that green eyes would cause you to be a billionaire when we know that that probably is not linked.
Doctor, how long did it take to find out something like this? You know, it seems on the series that I'm doing off and on, it's not every week, but I'm getting into some of the medical things that you don't hear about, and certainly this is something that we haven't heard about, that pessimism plays a part like this.
Well, Brad, there's not a lot of study on this, not nearly as much, for example, as there is on the health connection with depression and other psychological, but it's just common sense, I think, that the brain and your emotions are connected to your body, so things that affect your emotions will affect your physical health. And I think maybe if there's a take-home message from this study, that might be the one, that if you chronically are a pessimistic person and you're probably not likely to change that, maybe you might want to be extra vigilant on making sure that you have good cholesterol, normal blood pressure, normal blood sugar, and that you're at the right body weight and getting enough physical activity so that that emotional state does not transcend to your physical health.
Talking with Dr. John Duncan, CEO of ViaScan, a company that specializes in the early detection of heart disease. Now, diabetes. This is another feature that I have done on a couple of occasions. Is there any connection here between what you're talking about and diabetes?
Well, not in this particular study, Brad. There was not that linkage. I think what the scientists in this study were alluding to is that if you do have diabetes and you also tend to be very pessimistic, it's probably a good idea to get your blood sugars under control.
So blood sugar, then that is the key.
It seems
or one
to
of the
be,
keys.
you know, diabetes, Brad, is becoming rampant, and we think
yes,
that
it is.
Almost alarming rise in diabetes is linked to two things, Brad. It's linked to a increase in body weight and a lack of physical activity. So we could have a pretty simple reversal of the diabetic epidemic if we could just encourage the population to become more physically active and eat less.
Doctor, you don't know how pleased I am that we were able to get you, because I read about this and found out about you. And, Doctor, it's great to have you here on the program. And as I mentioned, we're on the road every year. We do a big toy collection, Toys for Tots for the Marine Corps. But I've also got regular features on my program, as I do every day. And I really wanted to talk about this, and I appreciate your involvement with it, and we certainly will talk again.
Brad, you're always doing great things in the community, and I just applaud you. Really advise you to keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.